Well, the fight for parental rights rages on, specifically in Fairfax County School District in Virginia. The largest school district up there is saying that it will keep its current policies in place for transgender students despite an order from the Commonwealth. Now, the new model policies were just finalized last month by the Virginia Department of Education under the guidance of Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin. In a statement released to the community, Superintendent Michelle Reed said, quote, "We have to conclude our detailed legal review and determine that our current Fairfax County public school policies are consistent with federal and state anti-discrimination laws as required by the new model policies." Well, your conclusions are irrelevant, lady, because you're not in charge. This is going on everywhere. You move south of the border, it also goes down to North Carolina, where the Republicans just overruled and vetoed veto-proofed their governor because they didn't like the policy that he wanted. They wanted transgender business out of their schools. Let's move down there right now to Lieutenant Governor, who just made that happen. Joining me right now, Mark Robinson. We appreciate you being here, sir. This is huge. Virginia, north to you, is going crazy. But, you have them holding the line up there, and you just overrode a Democratic governor, veto-proof, to make sure that kids have a better right to go through their developmental stage. Tell us about that.
Well, first off, thank you for having me here. This is just further proof of what parents and citizens in general want. This is not a repudiation of anyone's right to declare themselves how they see fit. What it is saying that the state of North Carolina is not going to be forced to go along with it. It's saying that women should be safe in their locker rooms, and they should be free from having to compete in unfair sports against men, and that our children, other people's children, shouldn't have this forced on them. And we're just not going to tolerate here in North Carolina. We're going to push back against those agendas. Do we want to give people the right to be whatever they want to be? Yes, but we also want to give people the right to not go along with it.
Well, so you stated it much more eloquently than I did, but your governor actually tried to veto this. In what world is that normal?
I have no idea how any American that has seen the genesis of female athletics since Title IX was established, how great it has become, on not just in this country, but on the world stage. And now we have this push somehow in this country again to destroy what we've built. It's insane to think that young men should be competing against young women in sports. Even one of the people who argued against this bill talked about how she competed against individuals who use performance-enhancing drugs, as if that was a good argument. It's exactly the type of thing that we're trying to prevent. It's not right. We're not going to allow it. And folks with common sense agree with us.
Yeah, well, I mean, I certainly do, Lieutenant. But the bigger issue here is, as we have these debates, there are still an outlying of people that are like, yeah, little boys should be able to use girls' bathrooms. And you know what? If we want to block the puberty of a boy or a girl, that's totally fine, even without their parents' consent. How can any parent go along with this, let alone a legislature?
Most absurd notion you could ever think is that a child should be able to have sex change surgery or take hormone blockers or whatever these things are called. These are serious adult topics that should be left in an adult space. Mm-hmm. You have to be 16 to drive a car. You have to be 18 to be a member of the United States military and go into combat. You have to be 18 to sign a contract. You have to be 21, for Christ's sake, to drink alcohol. Why in the world would we allow children to have surgery that would change their sexual orientation? That is a foolish notion, and North Carolina is not going to go along with it.
Well, the bigger issue, too, is the party that's always arguing follow the science is sitting there. There's a Johns Hopkins University study that says clearly that the suicide rate, that's their big argument, is that the people who aren't allowed to transition commit suicide at a higher rate. But the problem is that study showed that the suicide rate does not decrease at all if you transition your child at any age, and even post 18, that the suicide rate didn't go down at all for people who transitioned. It actually went up.
Absolutely, and that brings up a larger issue. Should we be looking at this from a different angle? And people don't want to do that. They don't want to look at this as a mental health issue, when clearly, I'm sorry, it is. If you are a man who believes, you are a biological male who believes you are a female, there is a mental issue there that we need to be examining. And that study may point to that, and we may need to do some deeper study into it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they actually listen to science on this one. Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, always a pleasure, sir.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you.
All right, I want to move just to the north. Joining us now, Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, Winsome Sears. Ma'am, honor to have you on. I saw what's going on in your state right now, where there are 3 districts that are openly like, you know what? I don't care what the governor says, Governor Youngkin. We're not going to do that. And I would ask you, ma'am, is it coming to a point now where you might actually have to get law enforcement involved to force them to follow the law?
Well, I can't get into that part of it. I have to wait and see what the governor is deciding to do next. But what we do know is that these model policies we've put forward to the public, they have made over 71,000 comments on them. And there is nothing in there that's not common sense. There shouldn't be any controversy when we say that parents must be allowed to be involved in the decisions of their children's lives. The parents' rights do not stop when they drop off little Johnny at school and then pick them back up again. There is no such thing in this world that goes like that. I mean, the parents have a 14th Amendment right. And of course, they also have a First Amendment right that you don't have to force any ideology down anybody's throat.
Right. Well, LT, the big issue that I see here is, for a long time, the left has tried to separate children from their parents for, a variety of social reasons. This is just the latest thing. But there are already laws that say that parents are in control of these things. So why do we have to keep passing new laws?
If I knew the answer to that, I may have been a lottery ticket winner. Listen, none of this makes any sense to anyone. And what the Governor Youngkin has put forward are model policies for the schools to adopt. And it is the law. They haven't, some of these school systems have decided not to do so. And so they are right now breaking the law. And what I think is really happening is they have made themselves judge and jury about these things. And we can't have that. So our policies are pretty straightforward. It says that all students will be treated with privacy, dignity, and respect. Not some students have more rights than others, and that you will not make policies that separate me from my child. And finally, is it any wonder that some teachers are deciding to leave the profession because there's chaos in the classroom?
Right.
They don't know which way is up half of the time. And this is not what they signed up for when they wanted to put information into our children's minds so that they would have a hope in the future. Yeah. And we're trying to bring more teachers into the profession, but some of this is just driving them away. This politics has to stop.
It's crazy. Ma'am, I know you said you didn't want to get out in front of the governor, which is perfectly reasonable. But the Democrats are doing this, this is 1, 2, now the 3rd, violating these policies. Look, I mean, you can't have lawlessness, obviously. Has there been any discussions or dialogue with the officials from Fairfax County or the other 2 counties to say, like, hey, guys, we're warning you? Is there any dialogue right now?
Well, as I said, the governor is working all through that, and we have to let him govern. But what I would like to say is this is why I'm pushing for school choice, because at the end of the day, I am responsible for my child. No, Mr. President, President Biden has said these children belong to all of us. No, they don't. They belong to their parents. We have that right, and we will exercise that right. And if we give parents the opportunities so that they can decide to send their children to any school that they want, whether it's still public or private or homeschool or whatever it is, some hybrid, we need to give the parents that. And you know what happens with competition? A lot of the nonsense stops.
Yeah, well, it's certainly bad for the leftist agenda over this. Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears, always a pleasure, ma'am. Best of luck.
Thank you. Have a good day. And don't forget my book. My new book is out.
What's it called?
It is called How Sweet It Is, and it's available anywhere books are purchased.
Excellent. Make sure you go buy that book. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
All right.